Hello, my name is Bryan Kolupski. I produce many of the screen animations and videos for Brit Floyd. This will be my first attempt at a director's commentary of sorts. So I was recently asked how the intro animation video in which I created for Shine On You Crazy Diamond came about. I first came up with the idea and produced the animation back in 2000. I was just learning 3D animation at the time, and as always, experimenting with different ideas just to see what I could come up with. Over the years, the animation has evolved, with some new content and updated work, but the original idea has always stayed the same. Just as the song itself is a tribute to Syd Barrett, I wanted to create an animated tribute video to the band, Pink Floyd. I wanted to take the audience on a journey throughout the years by bringing to life some of Pink Floyd's amazing album artwork, which was originally produced by Storm Thorgerson. So my animated video is also a tribute to Mr. Thorgerson's magnificent work, in which I am a huge fan of, and is the major inspiration behind my animation for Shine On You Crazy Diamond. So here's a rundown of my animation, scene by scene. The way I imagined the animation to begin was with a slow camera pan through an empty desert. Then a mirage begins to dissolve in, revealing itself to be the faceless man from the album Wish You Were Here, in which Shine On You Crazy Diamond appears as the first track. The faceless man grabs from his briefcase a copy of the album and places it on an old gramophone, which grows from the sand around him. The camera enters the horn, revealing the delicate sound of thunder artwork, panning around the two men known as Mr. Sound and Mr. Light. Mr. Light draws into the dirt below him an outline of what's to become a V-shaped light hovering throughout a great hall. A scene taken from the inside cover of the Pulse album, which along with the previous scene, both represent the idea of the Pink Floyd concert experience. I added the circular screen here as it reminds me of when I witnessed Pink Floyd live. The camera proceeds zooming into the animated circular screen as a new or secondary video, if you will, then appears. The cover artwork for the album Pulse hugely influenced my ideas for the next few sequences of animation, especially the visuals outside the iris. I loved how one image morphed into the next. I wanted to attempt a similar effect throughout my animation, seamlessly traveling from scene to scene. So the secondary video begins with the pyramids growing from within the desert, representing some of the artwork associated with the Dark Side of the Moon album. Then the camera pans across to the diver from the Wish You Were Here album. Though everything around him is in motion, I decided to keep him frozen in time, until just before the camera submerges underwater. Again influenced by the imagery on the cover for the Pulse album, I decided to create water droplets or bubbles, which slowly morph into, well, let's call them tadpoles. One of the little buggers then breaks away from the pack to enter an egg. The egg then undergoes a quick transformation in order to hatch, just as the song hits the crescendo. As the birds fly out of frame, the camera pans out to reveal planet Earth. Symbols of the zodiac scroll up the left side, as another Pink Floyd image appears, an ancient clock of sorts. The image was modeled after a design on a t-shirt in which I attained at a Pink Floyd concert in 1994. This image also appears briefly in Pink Floyd's 1994 screen video for Time. I love how that scene works. For me it represents a cycle of life, but also how we're all individuals, though at the same time how we can all come together as one through music or artwork. After the sun dissolves away, another series of album covers are brought to life. First, a momentary lapse of reason, followed by the Division Bell, and ending with a collection of great dance songs. I had added these scenes later on, once my animation had started to be used during live performances, especially when the song is performed first. I thought this would be a good way of showing the audience what they were about to experience, Pink Floyd's music from throughout the years. The symbol image which appears next is loosely based off an image from Pink Floyd's first box set, Shine On. The original image also represents Pink Floyd's music from throughout the years. Recently I added a few ghostly-like images of Syd Barrett during this sequence. Though at this point in the song, I wanted them to be subtle, as later on in the final sequence of the animation, a fully established photo of Syd is revealed. The following scene is an idea I had originally planned out for the track Time. This godless-like woman portrayed here is the bearer of time. The sand falling into her hands represents time. Blowing the sand away is to show how quickly time can pass. Remember when you were young? Okay, so that's my first commentary description of one of my animations. Thanks for bearing with me, and I hope you enjoyed it. Perhaps I will do some more in the future. I'd quickly like to note, if you're interested in Mr. Thorgerson's work, a wonderful book to get is Mind Over Matter, The Images of Pink Floyd, written by Storm Thorgerson himself. It covers his work for Pink Floyd over the years and describes a lot of what's behind the imagery. For more information on myself or Brit Floyd, please visit BritFloyd.com. Thank you, and shine on, you crazy diamond.